Welcome back to another great interview, this time with Chris Dieter, owner of Crocodile Encounter. It's a great conversation about all things crocodilian, including what goes on at Crocodile Encounter and Chris's latest book, which is now available on Amazon. So stay right here. You're watching Croc Chat. All right, well, here we are with another podcast episode of Croc Chat. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, I have with me the owner of Crocodile Encounter in Angleton, Texas, Mr. Chris Dieter. Chris, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here.
All right. Well, of course, we got to get started with just a general introduction. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Crocodile Encounter and what it is you guys are doing there?
Sometimes I'm not sure. No, we're the largest crocodile facility in the United States, and that's by animal count, not necessarily species. We have a lot of crocodiles, and so we're on 26 acres right now, and we have there's 4 buildings that are dedicated to grow out and winterize, and I think currently we're sitting at it's probably 12 or 13 species. We've had as high as 21, but I decided a couple of years ago to start reducing that number down and just, focusing on certain projects that I think better fit what we're doing. We try to stay kind of ahead of the curve a little bit because years ago, there wasn't that many places keeping Orinoco crocodiles. And so we ended up keeping 14 or 15 of the animals. And what tends to happen is they tend to clog up your system. And so and we try to stay a little bit ahead. So right now we're doing Temistoma because there was more of a need for space for Temistoma than Orinocos right now. And so now we have a dozen Temistoma, and so it kind of that's kind of what we do. We kind of work with big groups of various species, with now crocodiles being our flagship animal. I mean, that's our flagship. Yeah, we have 100 and something of those. So
100 plus Nile crocodiles.
Yeah. I think the number is 140 or something like that.
Wow, 140. That's a little more than 100 plus. Wow.
Yeah.
What's the biggest Nile you guys have?
Right now, probably 12-ish, something like that. 12 and a half, something like that.
Still growing.
Yeah, still growing. We've had a couple different groups of them. My original group, I've been keeping Niles for 3 decades plus, and so my original Nile was that group. We moved over to Florida, and then we got a second group that we raised up. We kept them for a long time. We ended up losing quite a few of those in a really bad winter that we had. I don't know if you remember the Texas winter where everything kind of shut down and made it national news. We ended up losing a handful of them there. And so we still have the remnant of that group. And then we always have redundancy built in the system. And so we had another group that was growing up, and that's a group now that they're getting to be 12 footers and whatnot. So
you guys had a fairly rough winter just this past winter too, didn't you?
No, it wasn't too bad. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago now. We had this one that the Texas grid just couldn't handle, and it collapsed everything. So we were fortunate. We really didn't lose anybody, but there was one 3 years prior where we had 2 snows within a 2.5 week period. That's never happened before. So the initial snow we were able to do all right in, and then so we put the animals back out, and then we got a second snow, and the combination of the snows melting and then the second snow just overwhelmed a couple of the animals.
Yeah, my son is in Lafayette, Louisiana, so that's not too far from you guys.
Yeah,
and I know they got snow, and he was sending me pictures from his campus where there were alligators doing the whole nose in the ice. And
yeah, the gators do fine. We keep about 50 some alligators, and you don't have to worry about them at all.
I just didn't know how far west that storm went, or that cold front.
What's that?
I just didn't know how far west that cold front went, if that hit you guys as hard as it did Louisiana, North
No,
Florida.
we got cold, but it wasn't like it wasn't as long, and then we didn't have any power outages or anything like that.
Okay, that's good.
Now, one year we really hit. It was power outage for like 3 days. So all the tropical buildings just went,
No, I get it. Living in New York, of course, I got to deal with a lot colder winters. My animals aren't as big as yours, and they're not as
Yeah.
numerous. But I remember when I had animals in the house that my parents owned. I was still young, newly married, living in an apartment, and I had to box up animals and put them in my mother-in-law's house to get through a power outage one year. So I had a pretty understanding set of parents and even a mother-in-law. So we'll give a shout out to my mother-in-law. Now, getting back to one thing you said, you mentioned the Orinoco switching to Temistoma. You said something along the lines of clogging things up and making space. So who are you working with that you're making space for?
We work with pretty much every zoo in the country that keeps crocodiles. So, at one time or another, but we've had really good partnerships with like the Bronx and St. Augustine and San Diego Zoo and Houston Zoo and San Antonio Zoo. And I don't know, there's a lot of them, and so. Mm-hmm. And so, like, we do a lot with, like, friends. If you go to the Bronx Zoo, our Nile crocs are on display there, the ones that were born here. And we
okay.
Up, so those are ours. We keep a Madagascar line kind of distinct, even though it's not a recognized line anymore. We still, from years ago, I still keep that line, distinct. So we call them the Madagascar line, even though they've lost the official designation. Now they're just Nilodicus. But so they were doing a Madagascar exhibit, and so they ended up doing that route. But so what happens is you have some of these. The problem with the AZA facilities is that when they're successful with some of these bigger crocodiles, they get the press from them, and you get all the little babies, because crocodiles are kind of like the perfect storm of problem. You get a lot of babies that are eventually going to grow up into a giant animal. And city zoos just are not real equipped to deal with, 30 hatchlings that are going to be 10 foot long in 5 years. And so what happens is on some of these programs, they're looking for, quality facilities to send some of these extraordinarily rare animals to. And that's how initially we got involved with the Orinoco project, which was probably 11 or 12 years ago. We got our first 2. And then it just kind of ballooned up to 14 animals. Well, in that interim, what happened was there were more and more Orinoco's produced, to the point where I felt the project itself at this point was not really as important as it used to be, because there were so many more places that were keeping the Orinoco's now, and they were still looking for places. And they started to bleed out a lot of different facilities that I felt. And then the Temistomas started to kind of do the same kind of thing, where they were just starting to be reproduced, and there was a few of them. They were starting to find homes. So that's a better place for us to put our resources right now. So that's why we ended up ending the other project, just to kind of focus on an animal that the space requirements are more necessary now. So we moved them off.
Totally makes sense. So you're basically helping out other zoos, city zoos, AZA zoos, almost like a holding area.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mutual beneficial thing, because we hold them, we let the public come see them and learn from them. And I'm gonna move for a second, my scrubber. So so we hold them for them, and honestly, for as long as we want, and reproduce them if needed. But it's just we can act like a big repository for a lot of these animals till they go somewhere else sometimes.
That's cool. So, but then with the Temistoma, are you breeding those currently?
We have a really young group. We're about to have an adult pair brought to us. It'll probably be here within, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks. But we have, most of ours are younger right now. That would probably say they're in the 5 to 7 foot range. So we won't see reproduction for them for maybe 1 more. We might have an outside chance at this one trio next year, but I think more realistically 2027. So. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned your crocodiles ending up at the Bronx Zoo. Mm-hmm. I was just there. I think it was back in August. My son and I took a trip there. So yeah, we've seen them. They're in the Madagascar exhibit. That's exactly where they have them. They scratched the heck out of the acrylic panel, so they're not really great video or pictures that I got. But
that Mel's name is Ricky. He's really well trained. He'll come right to you.
Oh, really? I wish I had known that. Maybe I would try to call him by name. There was actually a keeper or a volunteer sitting there with a clipboard, and I asked what he was doing. And his job for the day was to count or time with a timer how many minutes the crocs would spend underwater. They were trying to get an idea on behavior and time their ability to stay underwater. So that was kind of cool to see as well. They did have Temista. Other Temista were small, maybe in the 4-foot range, nothing big.
They used to have a whopper there, but they sent it out. I mean, there was a 14-foot one up there a few years back. We went up there to I forget why we were there. I think they were sending us a Nile crocodile actually, and or we were sending them one. I can't remember. And it was a massive one. I mean, it was really truly big. So
yeah, they had a big Temista for years between their Chinese alligators and their Cuban crocs.
Yeah, but I believe that animal ended up in Florida. They said they wanted to know if we wanted that particular animal, and I turned that one down because I didn't think it fit in our group really well because our group was young, and that would have just been a really big, giant male, and which would have been really cool for display, but we didn't have a female at the time to match. But unfortunately, by just a sheer coincidence, so I turned that one down. They sent it to another zoo in Florida, and then about 3 months later, a big female was offered to us that would have been actually a really good match for it. And but anyway, we have enough. So
it sounds like you do when you say you had 140 animals in total.
Yeah, I always tell people.
That was just Niles. Wait a minute. That was just Niles.
Yeah, I always tell people you build a facility and you don't have exactly like that.
Mm-hmm. So how long has Crocodile Encounter been in operation? When did you start it?
This is our 22nd or 23rd year. It was started. I was a teacher, and it started as like a side venture, probably very similar to what you're doing, and we just kind of hit the right spot, the right location, and right time. Right on the right timeline, and it just kind of exploded out. So
you gave up teaching for crocodiles.
Yeah, and the last couple of years of teaching, I mean, I was doing it both of them. So I was like, during the day I was teaching, and then I was, I would take days off to do assemblies or whatever like that. And on the weekends, we were doing a lot of different stuff, parties and, libraries, whatever. And just over time, the schedule just got so packed. I remember the last year I was teaching, I was there like 4 days in May, just from, the schedule being so big. And that's when I knew I would be all right. So
that sounds like a little dog compared to the big one we saw in the video.
We have a big Great Dane and we have 2 little dogs. It's like a constant. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, it's a constant war between little dog and big dogs.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny. It's always the little ones that like to make the noise.
Oh, they're so loud, so loud.
What the heck was I asking you? Oh, you were teaching. What subject you teach?
Biology.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. All goes together. Yeah, it sounds a little bit like what I do, but up here it's just too difficult. If I could have 26 acres in an area that could support the animals outside longer because of the temperature.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, or I might not still be married. I'd have to figure that one out.
I was fortunate, she's been real understanding of it, and as it took off, I mean, of course, there was a financial benefit to it that kind of eased over the.
Usually does. So. Yep, that's why we're allowed to go out and do shows on the evenings and the weekends and take away from family time. Yep, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so it's been a pretty fun ride overall, and we've met a lot of interesting people and done a lot of interesting things, and it kind of keeps going. It's got a different life to it now than it ever had, and you just kind of roll with it,
Listen, as long as you're doing what you love.
Yeah, it's kind of got a institutional feel to. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are. Mm-hmm. It's kind of got an institutional feel to it now. I mean, you kind of just caretake it, and you try to make appropriate decisions, and just don't let it self implode or anything like that. But there's a lot of people around us. I mean, we're in Houston, Texas, so if you die like within I think it's like 50 or 60 miles where we're at. There's like 7 million people. It's a pretty crazy number. So there's a lot of
So
fun.
you get good attendance then.
Yeah, we get pretty good attendance. It varies. It's seasonal, of course. So we're just now coming out of our what you would consider the September trough, kind of when school comes back in. You slow down a lot. Your business is probably similar too. I would imagine, but and then when you get to October, November, we get our field trip season kicks up a lot. And people just start moving around a lot. The weather gets really nice, and so it gets really it picks up for pretty much till Christmas, and then your January you'll have a trough, and then in February, March, it just ramps back up again with spring break and everything. So peaks and valleys.
The troughs are always nice when you need a little bit of a break, but
Yeah, for sure. Particularly as you get older. When you get in the troughs, I tell you what, every time I always think, oh my God, are we going to go out of business? What I mean? It just always feels that way when you get in a trough. But
that's one of the reasons I stuck it out for 31 years is the pension from New York is going to be nice.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, being in business for yourself, it's not, it's not really for the faint of heart. I mean, it's good. It's good overall. I mean, I wouldn't really trade it or anything like that, but there are some days that it's always with you. Like I tell my wife, she said, "Well, you weren't working." I said, I'm always working. You're never even, you're just always working. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're just kind of your phone's with you. You're on email or whatever. Or you're thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow. Or,
exactly.
what has, it's kind of like that. You're never totally disconnected, and it's just. But it's a good lifestyle. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a good lifestyle. So.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I started this YouTube channel, is to move forward into the next phase. I don't want to just retire from teaching and do nothing. I mentioned the pension will be good, but it's not going to be that good where I can just sit out on a boat and go fishing all day. So it'd be nice to turn this into another part of the career, something bigger, more towards conservation. We'll just see where it goes.
And we diversified out too. Like we have a facility in Belize, and so we're with Dr. Marissa Tejas down there. We own it, and she caretakes it down there, and they do tours, and it's in situ rehabilitation for Morlays and Acutus. So it's pretty fantastic. And then and we're spreading our wings out here too. We're gonna start doing some dolphin watches, and so because I really like that aspect, So I kind of get what you're saying.
It's fun to branch out. We did talk to Marissa. She was the first episode that I got to do of this style, so that was cool. What was your first crocodilian then when you first started doing shows, programs?
Ooh, man, I think probably like everybody else, I probably had a Cayman. Back given I'm in my mid 50s, and so like Cayman was the easiest one for everybody to get back then. They were like $25 or whatever, So, and then and that led when I came to Texas, I had the Cayman, and then I'm pretty sure I had a dwarf Cayman. Then, but everybody kept saying you got to get an alligator. We're in Texas. So I filled out all the paperwork to get, and there's a lot of paperwork to get an alligator in Texas. So I got that, and we got our first set of Nile crocodiles, and it was just kind of off to the races. Because like Crocodile Encounter was never actually ever in my plans. It was never like a goal or anything like that. I was just kind of meandering through it all. So.
Now, is the paperwork in Texas just because they're native?
Yeah, because they're native. So that's pretty controlled. I mean, people think Texas is wide open. It's not. It actually has a lot of regulation, a lot. And it's kind of a patchwork because each county, Houston has very strict rules on crocodilians and snakes and reptiles. And there's a couple counties that have absolute bans altogether. And then there's some counties that have virtually nothing. So it's really kind of a patchwork when you're here. And the alligator is it takes a lot of paperwork to have those. I mean, it really does. So,
well, it makes sense as a native species. Yeah. New York. When I first started, we only had to have a permit for alligators because they were still calling them endangered. And I started in 91. I think I got my first alligator, so it was still an endangered species permit.
Man, it blows my mind. Yeah, we have some massive alligators. I mean, we have some big ones, man. I mean, they're 800, 900 pound animals. I mean, they're just whoppers. And there's a lot of alligators here. I mean, I had 2 alligator calls today, just natives. People just have them in their ponds and stuff like that. I mean, we get probably anywhere from 2 to 5 a week. People call, and we don't go out and get them. And except in the case of emergency or if the state asks us to go help these people out. But there's so many alligators in this area. I mean, it's just a ton of gators. So,
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't expect it from New York, but I had to go get 3 of them last year. I didn't.
Yeah, I've seen that on the news a couple times.
Yeah, I didn't have to. One of my gators that I went and picked up was close enough to the city that it made the city news. I don't know whether it went national or not, but but yeah, I think they go into Pennsylvania where they're still legal.
Yeah.
Bring them back into New York. One was a 3.5 footer that was released into a creek. That was November, so it was lucky it was found.
Yeah, very much.
The other one was found at a murder scene.
Oh, wow.
Police went to investigate a stabbing, and they found a 4-foot alligator in the house. And then the third one was in Long Island, New York. The guy tried to deny it and hide it in a dresser drawer because he didn't want to get in trouble. So yeah, they're my rescues. I don't get to go out and wrangle them out of a swimming pool or something like that. But
yeah, these are the ones that we get calls on are almost always in a pond. It's almost always in a pond, and it's super funny because they'll call you and like sometimes one lady called and she literally had this one probably was 2 feet and she wanted to know if it was going to eat her horse. I mean, and they're serious. I mean, they're dead serious. They think this animal is going to eat their horse. It's just insane to me, you know, how they're so worried about it. And 90% of the time, I just tell them leave the alligator alone. It's going to leave on its own. You know, you know, it's not going to, and don't feed it for God's sakes. You know, because that's the other thing. People love to feed them, and but usually that's what happens. They move on. You know,
so you mentioned alligator and horse in the same sentence, and that makes me think every time I see somebody go up to an alligator in Florida and it's posted on Facebook, and then in all the comments, don't you know that thing can run faster than a horse?
Yeah, they're so fast. Now I will give him credit for the explosion out of the water, which I'm sure is as fast as a horse exploding out of the water for that 15 feet. But other than that, man, you're not going to have any worries whatsoever.
The Southeast would be worse than Jurassic Park if gators were faster than horses.
Yeah, and the alligator is just so benign. I mean, it's just such a calm creature. I mean, it is just. I mean, you really have to do something to really get an alligator to, you know, decide he's going to want to come munch on you as a food source. You know, I mean. And we've had people, you know, some of our keepers are through the years fall on top of them on occasion. You can't get them to bite, you know. I mean, it's just, you know, it takes the right set of circumstances. No, and that's not to say that they're, you know, something that you shouldn't respect, because any big predator you should always respect. But
right,
you know, your odds of really having any kind of dangerous encounter with an alligator, as long as you're not doing something stupid, are pretty low, you know. So they're not actively, very rarely is an alligator ever going to actively hunt a human being. I mean, it's super rare. That's why every time something happens with one, they make the national news, because it's just such a, you know, there's millions of alligators living around people. It's just so uncommon where, you know, you look at the Nile crocodile in Africa, and that's a whole different set of circumstances. They do actively hunt people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so. It's just, you know, we're big mammals. There's not a lot of big mammals in the United States, so that's not an animal that's adapted to do so, you know. So,
well, I always remind people, I do a lot of shows at resorts now too, not just schools. So I always tell people if they're going down to Florida on one of their vacations that, yeah, from the shore you look really big. That's because the gator's low looking up at you.
That's right.
But when you're in the water swimming next to them, all they see is your head. That looks like a turtle.
That's exactly right.
So I was thinking, you got to use some common sense. He's not going to chase you across the golf course, but please don't jump in the water with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it is.
And of course, don't feed them. Don't walk your dogs. Hey, it's like I brought you a raccoon on a leash. So,
yeah, it's like I said, it's an interesting lifestyle that I wouldn't trade it. I mean, I just, you know, when you're just like you, I mean, if you're as fascinated as I've been with it my whole life, it's great to be able to go out there every day and see them. You know, it almost becomes kind of second nature, you know, almost like I don't know what the word would be for it. You know, it's just, you can almost take them for granted because you see them every day. They're just part of your scenery, and you can forget easily how awesome they actually are. But they never get old to me. I mean, ever. I've never had a day where I'm out there and I go, oh, look, another Nile crocodile. They never get old to me. It's just, I love going out. And almost every morning, I have these two personal now crocodiles. Nobody else really messes with but me. And I just go out every morning, and they're sitting there waiting for me in the morning. It's just really cool, you know. So.
And they know you. They're
Oh
so
yeah,
much
for
more
sure. I mean, they see
intelligent
me
than
coming.
people ever
Yeah,
give credit for.
yeah. It's just they're extremely intelligent animals. I mean, they recognize keepers really well. I mean, really, really well. I mean, we do a lot of conditioning with them. We used to do more of it. I used to do more of it. I mean, we used to. My original set of nows, I mean, I would go ahead and have them line up. I would have like 7 or 8 big adult now crocodiles, and they would all stop at the feed bucket. I have pictures, man. They would just be in a line, and they're so eaten. If they came forward, you know, you just don't feed them. You do that enough times, they learn to stay in the line. And it doesn't take long. I mean, it's amazing how quickly they pick up routine and stuff like that. And so, you know, I just have them. It's an amazing thing that when we would have people out, I'd line these crocodiles up, and people were just blown away by that, you know. So it really is an intelligent animal. So a lot of fun.
Yeah, I picked up a young Moralettes crocodile from a zoo in Connecticut that the way the keepers were feeding it over the top of a wall, they were trying to target train it, but they weren't able to introduce the food where the target was. So I don't think the croc was putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
The target was outside the glass, and then they had to put the rat over the top and lower it down on like a fishing pole style contraption. And the croc then was lunging at it. So they weren't afraid of it. It's just the croc never rested. As long as people were at the display, it was back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. I think it was 3 weeks I have it stationing for food.
Yeah, it doesn't take them long.
Yeah, so it's an amazing, but very different than an alligator.
They're hard on each other too. Like they're hard to introduce to each other. You know, generally our introductions go pretty smoothly, but that's a tough one, man. If they're raised by themselves, it is really difficult to put them together. You know, so
that's no problem with alligators.
The alligators are pretty. They're tough in some ways. I don't think they're anywhere near as bad. Morley to me is one of the worst, and just in terms of introduction. Alligators can be rough on each other too, for sure. Like say now crocodiles are real gregarious. They don't really bang on each other much at all. I mean, ours we barely ever so much as have a mark on them. They just do not bang on each other. They get along real well. They're real good in groups. Tomistoma is very, very calm with each other. They do not really bang on each other at all. Saltwater crocodiles are really bad on each other, so we don't keep them together at all. But Morlays is really rough on each other. That's a tough one to introduce. So,
all right, I was on your website, and then since you're a teacher, I'm a teacher, I notice you have a program on your website. You offer crocs in the classroom.
Yeah, they're actually going out
right now. Hear about that.
Yeah, so we hatch animals, and this year we actually had assistance from other facilities because I didn't want to hatch a whole bunch of animals, and so we got the animals out and we put them in a teacher's classroom for a year. We try to tie it into a field trip to where they do the animal for a year. They come to us, they see the adults at the end, and they make a contribution to conservation. And we usually send off to, you know, honestly, we send it to Croc Fest a lot too. And so, and just whatever they're going to be doing at that time of year. So, and then they bring the croc back at the end of the year, and it's worked out really, really good, you know. So we've been doing it for a long time.
And you get a lot of teachers participate, or a lot of classrooms?
Oh yeah, it's really, you know, if we have more teachers that want crocs than crocs to give out for the most part, you know. So.
And what species are they normally going to get to keep in the classroom?
They're going to get Nowls most of the time. That's the one.
Wow.
Yeah. So we send out Nowls. Sometimes we send out American alligators, but this year they're all Nile crocodiles going out. So.
Of course, they're little hatchlings, so it's not the same as.
Yeah, Nowls are real gregarious. I mean, honestly, when you work with Nowls as a general rule, you'll find out I don't want to sit there and tell you that they're the same as American alligators because American alligators like the milk cow of the crocodile world, but we have Nile crocs that are so calm you can get in and weed whack right around them and just they're as gentle as any alligator you're going to see. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the same about saltwaters or any of these other ones, but the Nile croc can be really gregarious.
And then you mentioned sending some money to Croc Fest. You were lucky enough this past summer, 2025,
Yeah, we
to
hosted
have
it.
the first Croc Fest outside of Florida.
Yeah, it was a good event. We had a lot of good turnout, and I think they said the final. Actually, I have to send them the final amount, but I think they said the total was $50,000 or something like that. So that's pretty
Wow,
good for the first one. So
that's pretty good.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A
And
lot of
then
well attended.
a lot of artwork sent that down that way.
Wow, that's my favorite. Yeah, I remember your artwork. It was good there. Yeah.
I That's how I found CrocFest when I started thinking about the future, and after leaving teaching, coined my little side project of reptile encounters, the Crocodilian Conservation Project, and the idea
Mhm.
was to sell merchandise at expos and local events that I do to have something to donate. And let's just say that crocodilian merchandise doesn't sell well at New York expos when people are looking to. They want bearded dragons, they want ball pythons, maybe crested geckos. But so yeah, I'm not making a killing that way. And then I saw that people were sending artwork, and I said, I'll sit down and sketch something and see what they say.
Dude, I love that. To me, Croc Fest is the best time to get Croc artwork. We almost always pick up at least one piece while we're there.
Uh
So
huh.
I got a bunch of it on my walls. Right, we got a bunch of we got Tomistimus stuff on the walls. We got some osteoland. We just got a whole bunch of different stuff we picked up at Croc Fest. It's really good stuff. So
Well, they just announced last night
yeah, St.
that
Augustine.
winter will be at St. Augustine, and it's Gariel. The first piece I ever gave them was a St. Augustine Alligator Farm event for Gariel. So I just started drawing my new Gariel piece today.
Very good, very good.
So yeah, I don't have enough time either, but between taking care of live animals earlier, teaching all day, talking with people at night. So again, I thank you for joining me and
Yeah, for sure.
drawing pictures on my lunch break. Do you get to go to
You,
many Croc Fest?
uh, I've been to several of them. Yeah, I like to go. It's fun to go, but it's got to fit in right and everything. So
Well, that's it. Schedule, yeah.
yeah,
It's tough getting away for a weekend event when school is still in,
yeah.
and they
And the
usually.
winter one, I forget. I think we went to one winter one, and we went to the one summer one they had at St. Aug. I guess that had been a year ago, roughly. And that was pretty fun. I mean, it's always fun. I mean, we have a good time. We know a bunch of people over there, so it's just always good to go
Mhm.
see them and everything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
last summer was Tampa. I went to that one because I did the T-shirt for that one too, and
you
then
did a teacher with that one?
I did the T-shirt for Tampa last summer, the Cuban American crocodile
That
combo.
was a good shirt.
You like that one?
That was a good shirt.
That was
Yeah,
my idea, my slogan: "Racing against extinction with a running
yeah,
Cuban on the
that's a
back."
good shirt. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
thank
I
you.
like that shirt.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was mine. If you look at the back underneath the Cuban, you can see my signature.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I did
So
not know that. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, I told my wife that maybe, just maybe, because it's my last year teaching, we should make another Croc Fest just for the hell of it before we hopefully move down there after I retire. We'll see.
Yeah, all Croc guys move to Florida or someplace else.
Well, the last thing I want to be when I'm 70 years old is worried about shoveling snow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah,
that's the only reason I want to get out of the Northeast. But
well, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I understand that fully. So
there you go.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I'm glad we got a chance to chat in person after some messages last year or this summer for CrocFest.
Yeah.
And
Is that alligator picture on the back there? Is that the cover of your book back there?
behind my
Right?
head, yeah, that was
Yeah.
a poster to advertise the book at a local Barnes and Noble event that I did.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's the alligator. He was in a drainage ditch on the side of the Tamiami Trail by, oh God, I forget the visitor center name, but it's the beginning of Big Cypress as you're coming across, going west towards Naples from Miami on the Tamiami Trail.
That's a good picture. My original Croc book was first printed 20 some years ago. It's pretty crazy.
And what was
Time.
that book called?
The Ultimate Guide to Crocodiles in Captivity.
The Ultimate Guide to Crocodiles in Captivity. Would it
Yes.
look like that?
Oh, there it is. That's yeah. That's a first edition one there too. That thing. There's a second one. The new one comes out. Actually, I'm supposed to get the proof copy this week. Actually.
Oh, so you're doing another one?
It's much
Or
bigger. It's almost 400 pages. It's called Crocs Alive.
oh,
And
cool.
it's just because when I wrote that book, I went and looked at a bunch of facilities around the United States, but that was like literally 20 some years ago. And we just learned so much since then that I just wrote. And honestly, I've been working on this book, oh man, for a decade on and off. And I remember this one lady, a really good friend of mine, she told me, she says, you better finish this book. She says, I'm going to be dead before you finish it. Well, she is dead. And so I just took the time to finish it. And because it was just dragging on and on. So I just decided this year, I'm going to wrap it up. And it's huge, man. It is really big. I mean, it is a whopper, to say the least.
Covering all of them. Mine was just a general info book, and I figured after 40 years, I had a little bit of experience and stories I could share, and my artwork.
Yeah.
So, I'm working with 4 or 5 footers. The biggest one I ever kept was 7 feet long. I had him for 30 years. He was kind of a local celebrity.
That's a good size animal. What kind was it?
American alligator.
Okay.
And he would just sit on my lap, do many, many shows with me. And because I said, he became a local celebrity. One of the cool things about being close to New York City is being able to do TV and movie or advertising.
Oh, yeah, for
sure. He was actually, he was in a rap video. And my argument was, you got to feed them to do the education work. Sometimes you got to do some of the side work just to make a few bucks. So he was in a rap video. He was in a Puma sneaker commercial. He held a sneaker in his mouth.
That's pretty awesome.
Some other weird TV shows that didn't make it.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
He became a local celebrity. But anyway, yeah, I got your book here.
That's crazy.
Pretty basic, but nonetheless, I guess I can call myself a fellow author.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. We need good books on them, though. There's really not a whole lot of them out there, although there are more than one would think. I mean, I have a giant collection of Croc books. It's kind of like I just collect them. I mean, it actually is a pretty sizable number through the years, but there's not a lot of husbandry guides, though. Most of them are natural history type books.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, who's really suited for keeping crocodiles in captivity?
Only crazy people. I mean, as a general rule.
I think the problem is they see how calm an alligator can be in a program, and then that's why you end up with a 3-footer loose in a creek in New York State.
Yeah, and what's funny is as the years have passed, and this is a very general rule, I do think people do better with them than they used to. I mean, I really do. I mean, I don't know if it's because they're just harder to get. Some of these species are just harder to get and they're more expensive. So people make more of an investment in them or, as far as that goes. But most of the people, and it could be the circles I'm moving into, but most of the people that I know seem to do, better than they had in years past, so.
Yeah, well, we're also at the information era, so everybody's got information at their fingertips. There's good groups on social media to be part of.
Yeah.
Sure. I would like to believe that more people know now what an alligator is going to turn into than back in the 60s when they picked up the cute 8-inch hatchling at a roadside stand or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, man. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Don't be a stranger when you come to Texas.
Oh, I won't.
All right. Take care, Mark.
All right, take care. Have a good one.